here today with Niel Marotta, CEO of Indiva. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we wanted to come over here because I know that we're ramping up. October 17th is very, very soon. And there's a lot of different developments that have been happening recently. Is there anything that you'd like to share about Indiva and what you guys have been doing over this last little while?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. Look, we're a licensed producer. We're in London, Ontario. We just got our sales license in August, so we'll be onboarding patients here shortly. Right now, our market cap is around 65 million. We have 25 million of cash, so we're expanding to 40,000 square feet, and that's fully funded. We'll have an extraction facility as well as our grow.
Yep.
The recent announcement on retail actually is really encouraging for us, in that it's going to allow licensed producers to have a store at their production site. And we're one of the few, I think, licensed producers in Ontario that actually have a relatively urban location. So we're in London, Ontario. We're about 1 minute off of the 401, less than a kilometer away from the exit of 401.
Actually.
Yeah, there's a wholesale club across the street.
Yeah.
There's 9 hotels with over 1,000 rooms within a half-mile walk. So also our master grower has deep roots in London within the compassion community. Medical cannabis. He's been a licensed grower since 2001 under the old system. So we think that combination of that local mind share and being the only licensed producer operating in London right now, as well as our location, we think we'll have just an absolutely terrific store for Londoners and other Ontarians or even visitors that, you know, right off the 401, you should be able to come on in.
Yeah, and you got Funshaw down there as well. A lot of different universities. It's a really good area for that, and it's interesting because if any of our viewers don't know what you were talking about, recently Ontario came out forward and said that you can now have for every, I believe it's every LP facility, you can have a retail store as well, and that's big. Because I don't think they were going to allow that from the very beginning.
Yeah, it was always uncertain. It was something that we pushed for because we knew we had a great location. Also, you know, being one of the smaller players, we have 1 location, not 10. Yep. We wanted to make sure, and we thought it made all the sense in the world. We have the security in place. You know, we're the ones that are manufacturing, growing the product. So it made all the sense in the world to be able to sell out of our facility, similar to a microbrew would be able to do in the province.
Exactly.
Yes, we're very pleased that we'll have the right to do this now.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting actually, and it's exactly what you said, like a Mill Street brewery you see in downtown Toronto, where and there's a bunch of them, but you've got a brewery there, but you also have, you know, a restaurant, or you can buy a beer there. It'll be really interesting to see that right from the LP, right where you're growing it, you'll be able to set up shop there as well. So I'm not too sure if the other provinces are following suit in that way. I can't recall off memory, but I'm glad to see it happen. Yeah,
I think the other provinces will, for the most part, allow retail stores. There'll be some provinces like Quebec that will be full government monopoly. In all cases, we'd like to sell product coast to coast, not just out of our 1 store in London. We think, you know, local production seems to have some impact, whether it's on a microbrew or vineyard, or in this case with cannabis. So we're happy to benefit from that. But our ambitions obviously go far beyond just 1 facility in London. You know, we think we will be part of this global expansion. We've made a couple of small investments into 2 really interesting brands of the United States, one called Bang and one called Ruby, which makes cannabis sugar. In both cases, we'll have the right, in Bang's case, we'll actually have a joint venture in Canada, 50-50, where we have the right to manufacture and distribute their award-winning edibles and vape pens, oral sprays, and other derivative products in Canada. And with Deep Cell, a Seattle-based company, relatively new, but they have this terrific cannabis sugar, cannabis salt. They found a way and patented something called crystal fusion, where you can combine the cannabinoids with crystalline structures like sugar, salt, or xylitol. This is an all-natural product where the ingredients literally would be THC and sugar. Wow. And so this is something that they call it flexible edibles. So you can add sugar to your coffee or your tea. You can put salt on your fries or veggies. And so we're very excited to have the exclusive license to manufacture and distribute those products in Canada. So it's not just dry flower, it's not just oil, but all these wonderful products that we'll bring. And we see a real big opportunity there. There's millions, the data shows, millions of Canadians that have tried cannabis in the last year, but very, very small amounts. So you've got this very long tail of people that consume less than 1 gram a year, let's say. And our thesis is that part of that's legality, part of it's access, but also that people maybe don't want to smoke. And so to be able to offer cannabis sugar, cannabis salt, edibles, vape pens, and other means of consuming cannabis, we think there's a huge growth in that area, an opportunity to differentiate, and also healthy margins too.
Well, you brought up an interesting point there, and I think you're right. I think there's, no matter what, cannabis is going to be legal October 17th. We're like just a little ways away. But the stigma behind smoking, I think, will always be there in some sort of way. If you want to, sure, that's going to be you. But I know a lot of people over the last year or two that do not smoke cannabis, but are very open to consuming foods and consuming drinks. Like, yeah, if I can find a different way of consuming it where I don't have to actually smoke it,
right.
I'd be very, very curious. And we all know about the gray market. We have a lot of dispensaries that are out there. Those are all turning into retail stores, and we're really cracking down on that. But they're out there. And speaking to people that I've either worked with or friends or just in general, many of them would opt to having, you know, like a low THC edible where it's just enjoyable, you get to relax, opposed to smoking a joint. So having these different aspects, it could be really, really fortuitous when a year from now, whatever it is, we loosen up the regulations. I think they will.
Yeah, and you know, with, for instance, the ruby sugar, it doesn't even have to have THC. So we'll make a pure CBD ruby sugar, a 1-to-1, and a pure THC, depending on what your appetites are. And so, yeah, we're very excited to offer these products. The other way we sort of look at that too is that very unlikely that you'll have establishments where you can smoke or vape, let's say indoors or on a patio, particularly in Ontario, if not coast to coast. But being able to have, let's say, a licensed establishment where you could, you know, put sugar in your coffee, or, you know, who knows where things will progress, you know, 1 to 5 years down the line. We may have licensed establishments that might be allowed to cook with infused products or serve infused products. You know, having pure cannabis sugar and salt, great way to prepare those foods without having to force you to, let's say, eat something you don't want to eat. Not everyone wants to eat a cannabis chocolate, let's say, on a regular basis. Once in a while is fine, but adding a little bit of salt to your soup or veggies, etc., this is a much easier ask, a much easier sell, I think.
Well, especially the sugar part. I'm intrigued. I haven't heard it in sugar before. And I'm intrigued because a lot of people enjoy tea. And tea to relax or to go to sleep or whatever it be. It'll be really interesting when we start getting into edibles and we start allowing certain things. I think, personally, that coffees and teas will be a really, really huge segment for people who want to relax. Have a nice coffee with maybe a little bit of CBD or THC in it to allow you to get onto a plane and relax, or a train, whatever it be. So having that and already being prepared for that, that's interesting. I never knew that about Indiva, actually.
Yeah, it's exciting for us. I mean, these flexible edibles, you know, it prevents us from saying, here's how, you know, you ought to consume your cannabis. We've seen other products, let's say in the illicit market, that are already pre-infused, whether that's tea or coffee cups and things like this, and that's great. I think I could absolutely see someone using infused coffee with infused sugar and putting them together, let's say, to have an extra dose of CBD for that analgesic effect.
Yeah, and it's like you said, though, it's up to them at that point. They can dose properly, and then they don't have to have this brand of coffee or this brand of tea or this. They can go with whatever they want, find your whatever coffee that you enjoy, and then be able to get your medicine or your recreation, whichever one it is, into that beverage.
And we've always maintained it's not up to us to decide whether you're a customer or a patient. You're a client, and it'll be the same high quality, you know, products that are compliant with all the regulations in Canada.
Well, hey, it's very interesting. I appreciate you taking the time to come down here and speak about your company a little bit more, just so that we'll give you a quick plug for your ticker and the exchange that you're on.
Yeah, we currently trade on the TSX Venture, and our ticker is NDVA, Indiva.
There we go. So if you need to look more, you can always find a bunch of things online as well. Look forward to October 17th and seeing what they do allow and how this progresses. I look forward to seeing the progression of your company along that way as well. So I appreciate it very much.
Thanks very much.
Absolutely.